All right, so I can see that YouTube is alive. There is stuff happening there, and I think we are ready to start. Welcome to the Expat Career Clarity webinar. I am glad you have found your way here. My name is Laura Lehtola, and I am an expat partner and an expat and expat partner career coach. Before I go right into the today's webinar, just a couple of household technical things in order to get us started. I hope you all can see me well, hear me well. If you are experiencing a technical problem that you suppose is on my end, please feel free to write it in the chat. I will try to correct it if I can. This is very exciting for me in good and bad because I haven't done a webinar with this technical combination of Zoom and YouTube before. So I hope that everything is working well. If the problem is in your end, I'm afraid I cannot help you, but I hope everything is working. Feel free to write questions in the chat. I will probably be able to answer them at the end of this webinar. I will save some time for questions afterwards or before we end today. But you can write it in as the questions pop in your mind, because I will be able to read it then when we get to that point. I think this was, oh yes, and as I wrote in the chat, it's a good idea to have pen and paper with you, because I will be giving you some exercises to do. Some of them you will be able to do during this webinar, and some of them require some time and some thinking, so you might want to write them down and do these exercises then afterwards. If you have registered to this webinar in advance, I will be sending you the exercises after the webinar, and I will also be sending you instructions on how to book your 50% discount first coaching session with me. So that was the technical part, the household part, and then I will go right into our subject today. As I said, my name is Laura Lehtola, and I am a career coach for expats and expat partners, and an expat partner myself. I will be telling you a little bit of my own journey, but basically you are probably here today because you are or are going to be an expat or expat partner. And I am going to focus today especially on the expat partner career, because that is a very important part to consider if you are planning on an expatriation or planning on moving abroad because of your partner's professional situation, or because you as partners have decided to move to the country where your partner is already living and working, or maybe you are already abroad and thinking about these things, or thinking about repatriation, going back to your home country. Even if you are not the expat partner and you are here in this webinar today, but you are the expat yourself, the person who got recruited to another country, it's very good to know what kind of special situations, what kind of special challenges your partner might be facing in their career at this situation in your lives. Because the situations of the expat themselves and the expat partner are pretty different. So it's good to understand one another in the partnership in that sense. But before I will go into giving you my best practices into clarity with your career and my best tips and tricks on how to get into a job market where you haven't been before or for a longer time, I wanted to give you a short version of my own story so that you know why I am doing what I'm doing right now. And maybe you can get some kind of ideas and inspirations or support maybe from my story as well, that you can use in your case. I am 40 years old at the moment. I have a husband and 2 sons. They are 12 and 8 years old. And we moved to Germany in 2017 as my husband, he is an opera singer. And just checking if anyone has technical problems. He's an opera singer, and like 80% of the opera singers in Finland, he got an idea to make an audition tour in Germany, because Finland, 1 opera house, Germany, hundreds of opera houses where you can get employed. So I was, of course, expecting that he might get a job. And I myself had been working in the music, culture, and media field for a pretty long time already at that point. And I was going through some kind of a career crisis already before the move. And this is why the thought of moving abroad was a no-brainer for me. I was so ready for a change. And I don't think I would have been strong enough to make such a big career change if we had stayed in Finland. Because I had a nice enough job. I was working as a producer at the Finnish broadcasting company, producing classical music radio shows and webcasts. And it was a nice enough career. And of course, music is a love of mine, and that will always stay that way. So, but the task, the role of producer had started to kind of stink for me. I wasn't feeling it anymore. I wasn't feeling that this is where I want to stay for the rest of my career. So so we left, and I was optimistic. I was really excited. I was sure that this was going to be the greatest career chance ever for me, and I was looking forward to starting from a clean plate. Nobody knows my name. Nobody has an idea of what I should be doing, what I had been doing. So I was really looking forward to working on my career questions in Germany. And maybe I was a bit naive, I have to say, in hindsight. Maybe I also didn't want to find out what kind of challenges and struggles an expat partner might face after the move. Maybe I wouldn't have moved at all. Maybe I had fallen into depression. I don't know. But it was, for me, it was good that I didn't know, and I could hold on to my optimism. And of course, I am aware that I had and have privileges like the other immigrants and immigrant women with good educations don't have, because of my cultural and social and whatever background. So this also made it possible for me to be so optimistic. And this has really been a kind of a little bit of a tough point for me as well, to think about what my situation in relation to many other situations is when moving abroad. But anyway, after the move and after I started working on my own career, it really did dawn on me that expat partners do have their special challenges. So I learned what they are from my own experience, from the experiences of other expat partners that I got to know. And also now I know it also from research, because there has been done pretty much research on expat partner career and the influences also of the expat partner career on the whole expatriation experience. And let me just show you what I have learned that they are. Pretty much research on the partner career and influences also of the expat partner career on the whole expatriation. Let me just check. I hope you can see it. So these are the situations that we face as expat partners when moving to another country. Our family needs support. We cannot just maybe right away go ahead and work on our own career when we have children, for example, that need to get integrated, that need to learn the language, get new friends, integrate into the new culture. This is very time and energy consuming. And this might kind of make the whole process of your own career a little bit slower. There might be lack of childcare support. You might have to take care of your children at home. You might not be able to get a childcare place right away. You might lack the right language skills. Like in my case, I wanted to do a career change, but I also needed to make a career change because I was working in journalism, and although I could speak German in a way that got me through the day-to-day life, I wouldn't have been and would still not be able to work in journalism in German. So you lose all your networks. Nobody knows your name, as I said. It can be positive, but it can be also negative. You just don't know anyone in your field. Culture shock might influence your self-esteem in a negative way. All the time you have to kind of accommodate yourself into new kinds of ways of doing things, new kinds of ways of communicating. For example, Germany is a bit harder culture than Finland. Like in customer care situations, you really have to learn to kind of be hard sometimes, unfortunately. And this is something that did influence me in a negative way at the beginning. Maybe your education is not approved in the new country, and especially if you are in a situation where your partner has several international assignments after one another, you might lack the perspective, like where are we going to settle? What is going to happen after 2 years? So these are all things that really influence your situation and your possibility to build your career in a new country. So just quickly back to my journey, because before I will give you some input. I won't bore you with my own story, hopefully for too long time, but I then was able to have a moment here in the new country to really think about my situation, think about my options, and get to know myself very good. And I did get some coaching, and it was a work. It was a hard work to figure the clarity out and to make a plan for myself. But long story short, at the end, I completed education as a systemic coach in Heidelberg. Took me a couple of years. And now I'm coaching other expat partners in their career questions. Was it the right move? I think it was. No, I know it was, because when I'm coaching people, I get energized. It doesn't drain me. I get so much joy and energy and excitement about that it can't be wrong. So these were the signs for me where I know that, yes, I did make the right decision. It took some time. It wasn't easy, but it was very worthwhile. So, but why expat career coaching? Well, because I know from my own experience that it can be challenging and exciting, and it can be easier and quicker with help from someone who knows how to coach, but also knows what you're going through. Also, although I have both men and women as my clients, which is a great thing, it's still unfortunately so that most of the time it is the man that gets recruited into another country. So the man is the expat and the woman is the expat partner. And for me, it's a bit of an equality question, because I think that whoever gets recruited abroad, the whole situation should be considered as a double career move. So that the break maybe that you have to take from your career won't affect you in a negative way. And it can be, and it should be, an exciting career move for all the adults involved in the move. And the number 3 reason for me to do this is because the discontentment professionally of the expat partner is the number 1 reason for the move to fail. Actually, the number 1, according to research, the number 1 reason are familiar and partnership problems. But and the career thing is now number 2, but as I presume that the career problematic plays also in the familiar and partnership problems. So in my mind, the expat partner career dissatisfaction is on place number 1. How do I know all this? As I said, there is research done on expat partner careers and expatriations, and the 2 main sources that I am using today are of 2 Finnish researchers. The other one is called Kaisu Kanstren, and she has been researching expat partner career satisfaction. And the other one is Maria Elo's research on immigrant women and brain waste. What is brain waste? It's when highly educated women immigrate, move abroad, and because of the situation, the challenges abroad, they won't be able to use their intelligence, their education, and their competencies in the right way in the new country. So, I have 2 theses when it comes to career questions. Number 1 is, the career question is not a practical question, but a spiritual one, at least at the point when people come to me. It might be a practical question also, but and we'll come to the practical questions as well. But many times the unclarity that you have has its roots somewhere a little bit deeper, and it takes some digging, takes some getting to know yourself in order to get back to the clarity. And my other thesis, my second thesis, is that Monday should be the best day of the week. Of course, there are crappy Mondays after career clarity and whatever you do professionally, but the underlying feeling should be joy. It should be excitement about what you do. It should be looking forward to your week of work on whatever day it begins. That's not luxury for me. It's a basic human need to express ourselves through what we do professionally. There are many ways of expressing ourselves. Not all ways have to do with career, but it's a big part. It's just a big part. And given that there are other basic needs like food and shelter that may have to come before the self-expression, people express themselves in war zones and in difficult situations. So I wouldn't say that you have to kind of make the all other things happen before you can think about expressing yourself through your profession. So these are a couple of the career scenarios where you might be. And as I said, I hope to address all of these in some form or another today, so that you have something concrete to take with you from this webinar today. The first one is a double career move. You plan from the get-go that you are moving abroad together. You are both looking for a job in another country, or you both get assigned to another country together. So this is a pretty clear one. Of course, it has its own challenges, but at least you have a plan and you probably have a clarity what you will be doing the next couple of years, maybe. If you are an expat partner who is kind of a trailing spouse, you might want to continue your own work abroad. Maybe you already have the clarity of what you want to do, but you just need kind of the practical steps on how to make it happen in the new country. You might be somebody like me who will change their career abroad, either because you are going through a career crisis. By the way, the age where we move abroad is the age where a lot of us hit anyways, so-called mid-career crisis, where we see, okay, my CV was planned by an 18-year-old and I'm just not the same person anymore. So this might kind of coincide with the move abroad. Or you just can't do your job abroad. Maybe you are a journalist like me or a lawyer. You cannot function in another system, in another country, in another language. And the fourth one is you want to take a break from your own work during the stay abroad. And this is a planned thing. You want to do this. This is okay. This is perfectly legitimate thing to do. But you still might want to think about how you are going to use this break and how you are going to get back to your career when the time comes. And then there is the fifth situation of the repatriation, returning back to your own country after being abroad for several years. And that has its own kinds of challenges and also possibilities, because I don't just want to talk about challenges, because I really think that this is an adventure, it's a chance, it's a positive possibility for us expat partners. So, first thing that I tell people, and which I didn't do, unfortunately. So, learning from my mistakes here, whatever your situation is, I advise you to ask yourself this. If you can before the move, but if you already are abroad, it's okay to ask yourself it now. Where am I on my career right now? Do I want to continue doing what I'm doing, or do I need a break, or do I need a change? What's the situation I'm in? What are my hopes right now for the next years to come? And set a goal for yourself for the time abroad. Either for a certain period of time, or if you know when your relocation is ending, maybe it's for 2 years, set a goal for these 2 years for yourself. Or if it's open-ended, set a time limit for yourself, for your goals. Maybe it's 1 year, maybe it's 6 months, whatever makes sense for you. This will define how you will spend your time and prevent you from floating, which is might be a welcome situation for a while, but certainly not a good idea, maybe for several years to come. And for me, if you go on my webpage, the first words you see are career clarity coaching. For me, it all starts with clarity. And also today, I want to go from the big picture, from the deep end to the more practical aspects. There are 2 types of clarity. First is, what do I really want? That's the big question. And the second one that comes after figuring out the first question is, how do I get to where I want to be? And now we're coming to the first exercise of today. First of all, when thinking of what do I really want, you want to start from your heart and not from your head. This is very important, This is the first place to start. Your head is not going to give you the answer to the question of what do you really want. Maybe you made your original career decisions based on other people's opinions. Maybe you based them on your opinions of, okay, this makes sense. I will surely have a job until my retirement if I choose this path. Whatever the reasons were, these reasons might not be the right reasons for you at this point in your life to choose the future path for your career. So now I would like you to take your pen and paper, and we'll do this together. It doesn't take long, just 1 minute. Just lean back, take a comfortable position, breathe in, and slowly breathe out, and open your heart. Just leave everyday thought away for this moment. Open your heart and ask it, what do I truly love if I open my heart? And just write down the first thing that comes to your mind. It might not have anything to do with your work, but at least it's a sign for you. This is something I really need to look out for, that this thing stays in my life. Either it's on my career, in my work, or in my private life, but whatever decisions I make, this is something that needs to stay with me because this is what I truly love. If you are at a point where you feel like you don't really know what you love, you don't really know what you want, you are really kind of in unclarity, make a list about all your career decisions up to this point. Just make a list, take a paper, make 2 columns, and list all your career moves, career decisions from the point where you first maybe decided on what you will study until and every job you had. Write them down, and on the side next to the points, write down what kind of emotions these decisions awakened in you at that point. You might get some clarity on or some ideas, some impulses on, well, what your motivations have been up to this point, and what kind of motivations and decisions have made you happy, and what have made you stressed or unhappy, and why this might be. This is just a small exercise to get to know yourself a little bit better and get to know why you have been doing the things you have been doing. So this is the first point to start in. And the second thing is going back and seeing where you've felt happy and competent. Imagine the last time in your professional life where you felt at the core of your competencies. No matter if it was a moment where you were in your dream job or not, it might be just some kind of a random summer job or a side hustle. That doesn't matter. Just go to the moment where you really felt at the core of your competencies. Maybe you felt flow, or you felt in some other way that right then in that moment, you felt excitement, ease, interest, contribution, worthwhileness. You might have been performing an assignment, or you might have been communicating with other people, no matter what you did. And this is maybe something that you will need to do afterwards, because this might take some going in and some time. But Write this core competence down in one sentence. How would you describe this core competence in one sentence? Write that sentence down. And then write a job description for yourself, listing all the strengths and qualities that an imaginary employer of your dreams is looking for in a dream employee that is you. Now you have kind of found your core competence, and now you can find some new or other strengths and additional strengths and good qualities in you that you want to express, that you want to use in your work, on your career. Job description should be one that excites you, brings you joy, and it shouldn't be about a certain job unless you want to, but this should be kind of a general job description about you and not of a certain role. Don't write down anything that brings up negative emotions for you. Like, okay, your strength might be, I cope with stress extremely well. But if that, okay, that might be a strength, but if that makes you feel uneasy, if it's not like, I don't want to cope with stress, I'm so done with stress, I know I can do it, but I just don't want to, don't write it down in this job description. Just only things that are positive for you. And then make a list. What are the possible jobs and professions where you could use these qualities and interests? Like I said, these, after the first point where we went in our hearts, these might be things that you will have to write down after this webinar, because it takes some peace and some time to really think about these things. This list you can make depending on your willingness to seek out something completely new or not. I mean, these can be also jobs that you already are qualified to do and have done, but just all the possible assignments, roles, jobs, professions, where you could use the qualities and interests and strengths that bring you joy. So these are the 4 steps that I often use in my coachings with my clients. We do these exercises together. We do some additional exercises. We, of course, talk a lot. I ask a lot of so-called systemic questions in order to kind of get to the core of where are you competent? Where do you want to be competent? What excites you? What brings you joy? What are systemic questions? Well, shortly said, systemic coaching is methodologically guided self-reflection. So it's about me showing with my spotlight in a room which is empty and dark for you right now, but I'm kind of showing with my light from different angles, and we're looking at the room together, and you can recognize there things that you haven't recognized before. So maybe that could be a good short description for what is systemic. It's about me helping you finding the answers inside of you. It's not about me telling you what to do. Unless when we get to the point where you really do have the clarity, and then we are working on goal setting together. How do I get to where I want to be? When you set a goal for yourself, maybe you have already seen this SMART acronym. It's pretty used. It should be specific. Like a bad goal for me would have been, I would like to change my career in some way soon. Like that's a bad goal. It's too open. A good one would be, I will find career clarity until January next year, and I will do then anything in my power to achieve this goal. It should be measurable, like I said. Well, time bound also comes into play at T, but one measure is time. Of course, career clarity or career questions might be difficult to measure, but like in comparison to if your goal is to lose weight, you can measure it, you can weigh yourself. But here you can, for example, write down, what does it mean for you that you have career clarity, for example, if that's your goal. It might mean that I have the information I need to know what my next steps are. Thinking about my future career makes me excited and motivated. Like, what does it feel like, for example, for you when you have reached your goal? Of course, it should be attractive and achievable and relevant for you, and time bound, as I said, a time limit for a goal, otherwise you won't achieve it. So now remember the time frame you set for yourself in the beginning, whether it's the 2 years period you will be abroad or whatever. Then you can imagine that you are in that future point of time right now. Ask yourself these questions. Write them down, the answers. What have you done in order to achieve your goal? What are the steps that you have taken? What kind of challenges and obstacles have you had to overcome? These can be both external challenges coming from outside world or internal, like I have overcome my fear of change, for example. Which of your personal strengths and core competencies have you used in order to achieve this goal? What of your competencies and strengths have you used? From whom have you received assistance and or support? And what can you do during the next upcoming week in order to take the first small steps towards your goal? These steps can really be small. They can be big if you want to, but they don't have to be. These can be like baby steps. Like, I have opened a LinkedIn account, or I have even bought a pen and paper for myself where I can do my planning. These can really be small things. Write these down. So, as I said, this is a lot. I'm giving you a pretty much input right now, and you might not be able to remember all of this after this webinar. Like I said, if you did register in advance, I will be sending you these exercises after this webinar. If you didn't assign or register in advance, this webinar will be available for you after the live webinar on YouTube, and you can go back to these exercises then. So don't worry, take these exercises with you, take your time, go through the questions, and make a special nice moment of it for yourself. Then it's about getting into the job market. Maybe you are at this point already today, and this is why you have joined this webinar today, and that's a nice place to be. So these are now tips and tricks I have gathered based on my own experience as somebody who was trying to get into the job market, as somebody who did get into the job market and was recruiting other people, and still, and experiences from other expat partners, and aspects that the research I was talking to you about before has shown that these things have really helped, for example, the highly educated immigrant women into getting into the job market. The first one is from me. Get so clear on what you want that you can fit it into a so-called elevator pitch. This is my experience. After I had gotten my clarity and I was so sure about my next steps that I was able to put it into a couple of sentences. This happened. I was at the time still studying systemic coaching in Heidelberg. I was working, having a side hustle as a translator at a digital advertising agency here in Mannheim, doing Finnish translations. And my boss asked me one day, so Laura, what's your plan? What are you going to do right now after like this summer or whatever? And I was able to tell him, I am studying systemic coaching right now in Heidelberg. After that, it will take me a couple of years. After that, I will work as a coach. But until then, I'm looking for a part-time job in the HR field in order to get to know the German business landscape, the German job market, and to learn from the German working life and from the field of HR. So this was my answer, and he was then able to say, oh, well, I am actually hiring an HR person right now. Would you be interested? I got the job, and I was able to go on with my plan. This was only because I was able to tell him in a few sentences what my plan was. Big recommendation. Then recognize your competencies and your worth. We have done now this work already together, or you will be doing it afterwards. Don't think that you have to settle for less only because you don't know the job market or you, for example, don't speak the language perfectly. You have your competence, you have your experience. You should get paid the same amount of money as anybody who is local. Unless, this is the only but, you can take on a more junior position if you feel like it's taking you towards your ultimate goal. For me, for example, I didn't get hired to be an HR director right away because I didn't have any experience in doing HR. But it was part of my plan to get a part-time job in that field and to get to know things. And then I started as a junior HR person first. And then I was able to kind of up my game from that. Learn the local language, complete language certificates if you have to. Usually you do have to. It's good to have them in order for you to show that, yes, it's on paper, I have documentation that I know this language good enough to do my work. Do your research. Maybe you'll need to get your certificates all officially approved and translated or something. Maybe you have to take some certain steps if you are working in a field like, I don't know, nursing. You have to take some kind of official steps in order to be able to work in your profession. And network. Even if you are an introvert like me, basically, I hate networking. I am more a one-on-one conversations, deep diving kind of person. But get out there, get out of your shell, do networking, get to know different kinds of people, locals, other expats, people from your own country. It doesn't have to be like, for me, I don't know, I will get to know only other coaches or some kind of HR people. No, it's about getting to know a variety of different kinds of people, because you never know who can be able to give you the right tip or the right advice or maybe a job. And networking doesn't doesn't have to be superficial. It can be deep, and it should actually, in my opinion, be deep. I hate superficial, goal-oriented networking where the only goal is to gain something from it. Networking can be interesting, it can be deep, it can be authentic. Study a new skill if you need to. This is also great for networking. You get to know people. And if you are in a situation that you can't get a job right away, maybe you have to be there for your family or something, or it's decision for you that you are going to have a break, volunteering is good because you still can be active. You can still gain things to put in your CV. You can maybe even use your own professional skills that you have in a volunteering position. So that's a great way of spending your time abroad until you will go on with your own career. Or maybe you will get a job with volunteering. And ask people. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask your neighbor, hey, I'm looking for a job right now. Do you know anything? It doesn't hurt to ask, and sometimes it just really brings you forward. Maybe somebody has something for you. If you are unsure of your competencies after a break from your career, maybe you are worried about what the future break on your career will do for your future career, or maybe you have already had your break, maybe you are repatriating, and you are wondering, well, I haven't done anything for a couple of years, who's going to hire me? Well, how am I going to explain this break? What do I even know anymore? These are some questions that might bother us at some point. These are special competencies that we expat partners have. And this is not only from my head, this is something that the research shows as well. We have intercultural competence. We can get along with different people than us. We have sensitivity for intercultural and cultural differences. We have gained language skills. We have courage. We are able to take initiative. We are very resilient. I mean, expatriation, being an expat partner, moving abroad, it grows your resilience so much. And we have organizational skills. We have had to look out for schools for our children. We have had to organize the family life. We have had to use our organizational skills in our volunteering work. We have had to communicate with plumbers, electricians, phone companies, tax officials. Like, this is something that really also grows during time abroad. So, and you might have your addition to this list, and just write this down in your CV. Figure a way to express these in your CV or in your applications, because these are some pretty powerful things for a future employer to have in their team. And we're coming towards the end of my input and to your questions, but I wanted just to give you something with, if you are in a situation where you have had a break from working from whatever reason. Oh, sorry for the typo, activity. Write down, again, a list. Write down every activity you have done during your break. Whether it's familiar, like private life stuff where you have been active, volunteering, whatever, write down the activity. Then, next to the activity, write down the technical skills you used in this activity. Maybe you had been teaching at a children's language school, like I was back when we moved. I was teaching at a Finnish school for children with Finnish background. So my technical skill that I used was, of course, my Finnish skills. But the important and the interesting part in this is the core competence that you used during this activity. For example, as a teacher of a children's language school, you have probably used people skills, communication skills, creativity, organizational skills, whatever. Just list all the core competencies. And like in the previous point, figure out a way to add this into your CV or into your application. And of course, to bring this out in a possible job interview when you get to that point. This was the official part. Thank you for your for listening, for being there, for taking part. I'm now going to answer your questions if you have any. But before I stop sharing my screen, this is where you can find me, lauralehtolacoaching.com. You can email me to info@lauralehtolacoaching.com. You can find me on Instagram @lauralehtolacoaching and in LinkedIn also, surprise, surprise, with the name Laura Lehtola Coaching. So reach out to me, and if you are interested in a coaching with me, it always starts with a free 30-minute consultation call that doesn't you don't have to book a coaching with me after this consultation call, because even if you are receiving my 50% discount link afterwards, for me, it's very important to meet the person, to evaluate if coaching with me is the right move for them. And you have to be able to evaluate if I am the right coach for you. So this 30-minute consultation call without any costs is kind of a situation where we both can kind of evaluate, is this something that could work for this person's situation? So no strings attached. Contact me if you are interested in knowing more. And thank you for listening and for watching. And now I will take a look if there are any questions. Okay. Okay, so Anzheim is traveling to Germany this year. Anyone else from Germany? I'm here. Contact me if you're coming here. Kati is sending greetings from the Netherlands. And sometimes expat partner is not able to work in destination country due to type of visa they have. Exactly, yes, that's true. So this might be a situation where you are kind of forced to take a break from your career. And then you might want to do the exercises and the goal setting exercises I gave you today to kind of plan how you are going to bridge that time, so that the time you spend abroad will kind of be a positive experience for your career as well, even if you won't be able to do your own work. Kati says, I have a lot of women assignees. Man is the trailing spouse, yes. And same-sex couples too, but of course the families where the man is the assignee are the majority. Yes, it's exactly that. And maybe I think this is going to change, or is changing at the moment, and I'm glad. I have been seeing this because I also have both male and female clients, so it's not only the men who are assigned. The other group where I see kind of both genders is because I'm also coaching artists and arts managers, because there are a lot of expats there, because it's just an international field, and there it's maybe even more common that it might be either the man or the woman who is relocating. Hanna writes in Finnish. Oh, yes, you can absolutely write in Finnish, because I know there are a few Finnish people here, so I will be glad to translate your question. Hanna is asking, how am I working with my clients? Yes, so as I said, it always starts with this free 30-minute consultation call, where you will get to know me, I will get to know you, and we will both get to evaluate if this coaching is a reasonable step to take. After we have agreed on, yes, let's work together, there will be the first coaching session. And in this first coaching session, we will set a goal for the whole coaching. Sometimes it's pretty clear what the goal is going to be, and sometimes we need to dig a little bit deeper. It might take some time to even to set the goal for the coaching. So you don't have to have a goal in mind when you come to me. So that's not necessary. And after we've established the goal for the whole coaching, then we will also establish goals for the single coaching sessions, like what do we want to accomplish today? What would help you today to get to the bigger picture? And then I work, like I said, with asking a lot of questions, which might also be a bit peculiar, a bit odd, strange, funny even. And the questions are supposed to kind of tickle your thinking, to kind of make you realize what you actually already know, oftentimes. And then we do all sorts of exercises also together, like the ones I have shown you today. And every time we are evaluating where we are at right now. Are we moving forward to the goal that we have set for the coaching in the beginning? So that's basically how I work. Any other questions? I received a question beforehand from someone. Let me just check. Yeah, the letting go of the old, if it had, what kind of influence it had. Letting go of the old. Good question, interesting question, not easy to answer, but first it was very easy for me to let go of the old, because I was at this kind of a career crisis point. But I have had moments where I have been thinking, oh shit, what did I give up? Am I crazy? There have been moments where I have missed working with music every day. I have found for myself here in Germany ways of working with music. I am working kind of semi-professionally as a singer. And that I have to have that with me. I cannot give that up. That would be a big sacrifice. But if you want to give something up, this is kind of what I learned. And if it's something, you're giving up something that in some way has been very dear to you, you have to make sure that you know yourself first, and you have something as exciting to go forward to, like to achieve. Like for me, as exciting as now music is getting to know people's stories, getting to study philosophy and psychology, because my education in Heidelberg was based on, well, systemic theory, of course, that comes from family therapy, but also a lot was based on like Western classical philosophy, the great philosophers of our Western culture, and on art. So these were, I was able to say, yes, this new path has so exciting aspects for me, and so interesting things, and things that I feel as passionate about as music, that I can give up my everyday career in music to go on this new path. So get clear, find something as exciting as you are giving up, and be prepared to look back. It's just a part of it. We do look back. We might have some regrets, or we might question our decisions, and that's okay. That's not bad. I see that no more questions are coming in. Do I have something important that came in advance? I think I have more or less answered all of the questions. So at this point, I would like to thank you very much for being with me today. I hope you gained some ideas on how to get clarity on your career. Please feel free to contact me if you have interest on a coaching. There is a link in this description of this video, of this webinar, where you can book this free 30-minute consultation call with me, no strings attached. I will be happy to help you and to advise you forward. And other than that, I wish you whatever the future as an expat partner holds for you. I wish you a lot of exciting adventures, a lot of positive experiences, a lot of great career chances and success. And at this point, I wish you also a very lovely summer weekend and very nice summer in general, and see you soon.